Hi guys, and welcome back to another Shaun the Buffalo video. Hope you've all been well. And today is another video in the budget series of videos that I've been doing, which is designed to help new players and old players alike if they want to rediscover fun, build budget decks that do have a level of competitiveness and good style of play to them. Now, I tend or try not to feature two prize card attackers in this deck, but with the letter that I've gone for, because today is based on E, so we are using Eiscue, he doesn't have a whole lot of output. Its attack only does 70 for free energy, but obviously it makes up for it with the bench damage that Blizzard does, and the fact that it does have, at maximum HP, 180 hit points, which makes it quite formidable in the one prize card game. And obviously a couple of blizzards, they eventually start to stack up with bench damage and a little bit of support from our one prize Lapras. This is just to wall out some decks, because it does entirely wall out some decks, and then we have a little bit of draw support in both Zacian, which go for about £4 a pop at the moment, and Oricorio, that go for about £3 a pop at the moment. So not overly expensive cards in this deck, as the purpose of the video would indicate. A lot of energy recovery in terms of energy retrieval and training court, although I am thinking about also bumping training court to 3, as well as some ways to reach our water easily, which is Capacious Bucket, which allows you to search for 2 water energy out your deck. Simple as that. We've gone for an additional draw supporter because there is no Jirachis in this build at all. It is primarily the engine of this deck is Frostmoth. So it allows you to accelerate energy into play with its ability Ice Dance, only to the bench. So for older players watching this deck, it is not like Rain Dance with Blastoise because, well, it's nowhere near as good as Blastoise, but it's still a very powerful ability, as usually the rules of the game dictate that you can only attach 1 energy per turn, but Frostmoth allows that you get to cheat that rule of the game via its ability of putting an additional energy in play. Two boss orders and a great catcher just for pulling in the opponent's Pokemon off the bench, which have eventually been softened up by Blizzard. And another draw supporter in Oricorio, which Dance Tribute allows me to draw 3 additional cards if one of my Pokemon get knocked out, which, with them all being one prize card attackers, is quite regularly. So Oricorio does put in quite a bit of effort. And then just some things to help with the maneuverability of the deck is switch at 3, just so you're never stuck in the active, and a single copy of Air Balloon. So that totally rounds out the deck, and we'll come back to you in a minute with some games. See you in a minute. So for this video, we have a special guest in the form of one of our good mates and fellow players of the game, Zuku26, who some of you may have seen on some of the groups or various social medias online and such. So big welcome to him. And he has very nice sleeves. As I've seen, he's been trying to acquire some of them quite recently. We are not afraid of being gusted in turn 1, but it just is more useful to keep the Pokemon in hand. I'll only be benching the Zacian next turn and the Snom. It seems we're against some sort of hit and run-esque deck, so want to be going here, putting this back into the deck, and acquiring ourselves double Snom, which is the first thing to set up before we start attacking with Eiscue and such. Eiscue is going to play a big part in doing some additional damage to our friend on the bench over there. And we are pumping away. Hydro Pump. for 40, which I think this hits for exact numbers on the, not Swablu, Altaria. I think Altaria has 110 HP. I'm not entirely familiar. We have been monitoring into a bit of a dead hand, but if he starts attacking with Altaria this turn, we do have the KO on it, thankfully. And this thing hits for 100. So we'd need Scoop Up Net and Triple in hand, or Scoop Up Net and Twin Energy in hand. So I imagine this is going to be for either a Crobat or a Dedenne. I don't know if he plays either of those, because he is going to be putting in some work in the, excuse me, just lost my train of thought, a bit of work in making a budget type deck with me. So we're gonna just use Ice Dance and accelerate a bit of energy onto our Eiscue. That's that, and we will take the first knockout of the game. Now for our opponent to get this knockout here, he would need a, well, he has everything then, which is very unfortunate. So we know he's got Greedent and the double in hand. So this is the time when I feel like we need to start attacking with Eiscue, because Eiscue can tank 2 hits as well, but it also gets some spread damage on the board, which is handy. I don't know if we have any energy in the discard. We don't, and the fact that we didn't find any off that was really surprising. So we'll be impatient anyway. No point putting Training Court in play yet. And this also stops my opponent from getting a knockout, just making it a little bit harder for him to get his prizes. Does have the Mew, but we do have the boss for that. And he does not wish to retreat. So just trying to figure out the best route of play here. And I'm pretty sure it's just here and knock out this Squabbit, because it means that he won't have the opportunity to put some more in play. This Mew maybe possibly should have gone, but we'll see. He does have the double in hand, but he will be behind a whole turn. So these things are all fine, but he now has Squabbit, Greedent and double in hand. I don't know what the other card is, but this should make it a little bit harder for him, hopefully, potentially. And it also gives us the boss play as well. Don't play standards, it's awful. Well, I mean, the idea of these decks is so, you know, competitive nature decks at very minimal, low cost, but you get raw power with the amount that you pay for, but the idea of these series is to sort of mitigate that by finding a path to a great deck without spending a lot of money. So the Mew is annoying, but he's left no space for another Squovit, so unless he ducks this to the bottom of the deck, which is potentially the right play to make. And we don't know if he plays scoop up nets or anything. So don't know if we can move this Galarian thingy-majig. So we are just going to boss this in and attach another energy here and Blizzard away. And now he's going to have quite a big hand. But the potential Marnie should ruin that for him. Although, he's Marnie and me anyway, so. So these games do tend to be slower than most, it's got to be said, but with that does come a lot of fun, in my opinion. So we're going to Ice Dance here, and again, and if he does take a knockout at any stage, I am going to have the Oricorio ready, because it doesn't matter that it's not that it's in my hand at the moment because of Marnie, because there's no other draw supporters in my hand, so it's better to have it, because if he Marnies, then he may potentially Marnie me into a draw supporter, which I have used 3 of, and I play 9. In a 29 card deck, and I've got 6 left in the deck. That means there's a 1 in 5 chance that I'll get one over turn. And because these can tank 2 hits for a 1 prizer, I potentially should have already won this game. Let's see if he gets heads with the old Cursler. It does not. And we go down to 2. So everything looking good. He'll finally take a knockout here, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But then this subsequent Eiscue, I think I'm probably better off just using Lapras here now. I'm pretty certain. And we'll put Oricorio in play. And this is where the game's going to get tricky, because he's going to be looping all these, so depending on how quick he can find his dolls and all the rest of it. And we should be sound. I actually totally forgot to dance a tribute there. And that may potentially cost me as well, so don't be bad like me. But we have so many resources in the deck. We haven't seen a single energy retrieval. We haven't seen a single training court yet. And we do also have an additional 2 capacious buckets to see, plus the actual energy. So we've seen 7 energy so far, and we've played 12. So even if he does gust in this Oricorio, then we have the opportunity to retreat it. Which no such luck, and also my opponent does not find a doll to run to either. So we're going to keep chugging away with these for now, I'm pretty sure it's the best thing to do. And still no water energy, very surprisingly. This Mew, I should have taken this Mew out. I think maybe potentially cut the Great Catcher for a boss's orders, maybe. But at least we still have access to the Great Catcher, it's still in deck. So, not all's bad. And we do take this hit. Wondrous Labyrinth is somewhat annoying. And we want to save this. And we want to save this. And we'll get the rest of the Snottum line out the deck. And I'm pretty sure we're just going to go for research. Because we have so much in the deck and that just gets rid of a lot of it. Training Court, brilliant. So we do have a second one to go, thankfully. And I think I'm going to actually prevent this knockout as well. Force him to have a boss. So I imagine that's the only stage he only plays, so we should get this Training Court to stick, which is brilliant because obviously it just means unlimited resources if this sticks. He cannot abuse it at all because the deck is literally all special energies only. And he's going for the same idea as me now, so there's a boss. We'll sit on the Eiscue. So it forces a boss basically, it means that it makes it harder for him to trap in the active. And he'll still have to OKO at this point, and also he needs to find a doll as well. So Oricorio only has one retreat cost. So it's time to use Lapras. Get some energy onto it. And this will be 130 damage, and with the Training Court allows us to attach one to the active as well for retreat. So it's all about, you know, this these competitive budget decks do really have a test of the mind on how often you should play what cards and sequencing and valuable resources and such. And we will take out the Oranguru. So we only need one prize left after this, and if he can't find a doll with his top deck must be a doll, or he'd have to research, which is potentially awful. So there's a doll finally, another square bit coming down. And we are going to save our little buddy Lapras. Again, we'll force him to have the boss, which he has used 2. I'm not sure how many of these sort of decks play, but I don't think it's a lot. So we'll Training Court, get energy back. And we know my opponent plays Reset Stamp, so may as well put this here. And potentially a third, because we have 2 attacks of Eiscue anyway. And we'll Blizzard. So again, using all the resources, we're just keeping this here because if he tries to put up something with a bit of HP, or quite a bit of HP, we have Training Court and the energy retrieval to be able to make our way through anything he potentially would find. So this is fine. I think the best course of action now might actually be use a Frostmoth maybe? I'm not sure. We'd have to, yeah, it's better to search the deck first, see what attackers we have left. We do have an Eiscue left, which is good. I think we'll keep one energy in deck. And we will Training Court. And how many switches have we used? We've used 2 switches. So, I mean, being gusted in isn't the worst. So, I'm pretty certain Ice Dance onto itself to be able to Aurora Beam is most certainly our best option. Which will take the knockout. My opponent has no dolls left. So I don't think there's any way my opponent can win this game. But we will see and find out. I'm sure he'll probably attempt to boss in my Zacian right here, or potentially my other Frostmoth. And we see a Glaring Cursler, but at this point he'd literally need to smack and run into something that can survive Lapras's hit, which he cannot. And Lapras just wins it for me. Lapras being quite a good little attacker, to be fair. And it was part of the reason why we're managing to get quite a bit of damage on board. I made a couple of misplays here and there. I should have put a Lapras down rather than an Eiscue at one point, so we could have taken a one shot on the Oricorio, but it's just one of those things. We didn't know what the course of actions take, and I've not practiced with this deck a lot. So anyway, we'll see you here for the next one. So game 2 of 3. With the E for Eiscue. It's quite a misnomer, I know. I shall ask him first or second. I'll flip the coin anyway. And he wants to go first, so would you like to go first? No. Does mean I get to use supporters and Marnie and such. Although this hand is absolutely phenomenally awful. It's better to start with Oricorio in this case. Because he has to two-shot it anyway. I am very much hoping we can get a draw supporter here. But if not, I will poke on the Eiscue away for Zacian and Intrepid Sword. So get rid of one of these. I'll bench all 3, I'm pretty certain. Zacian is prized. That is awful news. So I think it's a case of double Snom. Double Snom attached to active pass I think is the potential play here. I don't want to use Training Court because, well, obvious reasons. And you'd have to have Switch and Scoop Up Net. Switch and or Scoop Up Net, sorry. Does seem like my opponent has a dead hand like me. So, well, that's good for me. What else to say, really? We're hoping to see some other Pokemon at some point. Yeah, some more of these. I think that may have been a bit of a misplay, but that is fine by me. It's one less energy for him to have access to. And we do still get waters. Strangely, no draw supporters, and we have seen a fair bit of a deck now, so irritating, but we do play a whole 9 draw supporters, 4 Marnie, 4 Professor Research, and a Erica's Hospitality. So if any luck, we may top deck one of them. Marnie or Erica's would be preferred, and no such luck. So we are just going to pass. Hopefully we see another Marnie here. Marnie would be wonderful. Marnie is what we get. We may finally see a draw support of this game. And my opponent needs to see twin or triple to be able to attack. Let's see if we can find it. I still see no draw supporter. This is insane. And we are not going to be using Pokecom if we can avoid it. Which we can, but at what cost? At what cost? He doesn't have... he doesn't have Mew in play, so now we actually get the bench damage off Blizzard, which is good. So we start putting some pressure on these, which is good. This is a very extremely slow game. I don't know if these decks tend to play what was I thinking? I can't remember. It's good to get rid of a doll now here anyway. So I think we'll keep that in hand. We will power up an energy. And we'll go for Blizzard, get a bit more damage on these. Always good. Just means that we get to use less energy with Lapras eventually. And we held off on the Pokecoms, but finally sees the Mew, annoyingly. So now we need to find boss double energy, or boss energy retrieval, boss energy bucket. So many things to find here. And this is going to make it a lot tougher on us because he's set up a lot quicker than the last game, but we do potentially also need to find a Marnie here. So we're going to promote this guy because we're putting an air balloon on him. So we are going to Dance of Tribute we may potentially be able to knock this out with Lapras this turn. It's very unlikely, but we'll see. So we do get a Frostmoth. And we will power up this, because knocking this out is going to make my future Marnies a lot more powerful, and we do need to see a whole lot of cards to be able to kill this. And what you see is what you get. Marnie would have done the trick. So 2 buckets. Thins out the deck as well, which is good. And this has got 150, so we need 5 energy. I think. Yes, it is. Another switch, another pointless card, but at least the Oricorio is now gone, which is very handy for us, because he can never one-shot our Oricorio. We're probably going to see a hit and run into this. So we are going to use a switch and energy retrieval. I don't know why he went into that and not that, but that's good for us. We'll energy retrieval. Ice Dance here. Here. Switch. Boss. This, because it was a hindrance last time. Blizzard. He's going to have to flip a doll back into the deck. Doesn't have unlimited draw off our Oricorio now either. And he does go for the Lapras, which is fine, because it does mean we can use our own Oricorio. So most of my boys take 2 hits, whereas most of his don't, especially under threat of Lapras. So the best thing to do here would be to attempt to be able to Aurora Beam, which we do have enough resources to be able to do. So we're going to Ice Dance here, here, and we need to research first because we don't want to have to dance tribute into our other boss orders and then potentially get Marnied, which would be very frustrating to say the least. So we'll put the other Snom down. And then next turn, the incoming Marnie should cripple my opponent, but we'll see. I don't know if there's a point in another Eiscue, so I think we're just going to go with Aurora Beam. I'll see if he takes a knockout, which he does, annoyingly. And I shall be feeding. I think the Eiscue actually would be the best thing, because it stops him from getting a knockout and it stops him putting damage on this, and I need this in place. So this should be the best route. And then that with the fact that, well, there we go, probably takes the Frostmoth, which is fine. It's still only one prize either way. We do have the other one in hand. We are down 2 Frostmoths though, so this last one has got to count. And we do, right this second, need to build up a second Eiscue. Or potentially another Lapras. So we will keep one Eiscue in play, but we'll also get the Lapras as well. Because Lapras needs 3 energy. Does it need 3 energy? I think it might only potentially need 2. Because this is going to go down to 90. So, and this hits for 100. So yeah, do need 3 energy. And we are going to Marnie that god-awful hand of my opponent's away, thankfully. We'll get rid of the Keldeo, we shouldn't need it, and we'll grab Snom, which we're definitely not going to need because there's no other Frostmoth in deck. And we will Marnie that to the bottom. Being very careful and conservative with my cards here. Put some extra damage in play with Blizzard. And my opponent is down 2 boss, don't know if he plays free or not. Go and see most of the rest of the cards, so we know we've got 3 supporters in deck, an Eiscue and an LNG. We've been through 3 retrievals, we need Training Court, and there they are. So we finally find them, which is good. My opponent has not used this wondrous labyrinth yet, which is quite the problem. We are just going to quick ball away this Snom, because it is useless. And we will get an extra energy back, and we will stick it on Frostmoth. Or do we stick it here? I think we stick it here, because at this point, we're not going to need Frostmoth anymore, so... Blizzard. Wonder if my opponent finally goes for the Wondrous Labyrinth. If he has it. But he has a turn behind in setting up a new Greedent, which is brilliant for me. Let's find out if he plays more than one Oricorio, which he doesn't. He is, as I say, setting up with the Squovit. So we know he has a Greedent in hand, and we don't want that to be the case. So, putting this here, and we will... can you tell that he has budget decks? Well, you're not doing a bad job, per se. So, this will... should give me the game. We need to see if he's got any dolls left. He has 1 left. But I think this puts me on a 3-turn clock, so that should be fine. It's Marnie there, 2-turn clock even. And we have another Marnie anyway, so. And we can Training Court. So we can acquire enough resources to put enough back into the deck with Marnie, plus the prize card we're getting. So we should never deck out. in before they've suddenly made Balalba and Bryson man legal again. We do see 2 Greedents. I'm sure he had one in hand, so that was an insane Marnie that I mined my opponent into. But unless he finds his last doll here, which does, which is fine. And the Labyrinth, which is also fine. We should definitely just training court, have enough energy to be able to finish this game. So that's the last doll, and Lepra should be able to clear out pretty much anything, I'm certain. Unless he does play Zacian. And how much does this have? 120. So yeah, it's just a training core or attachment for turn, wasn't it? Came very close, but like I say, I had the training core and the Marnie, but anyway, I had the game anyway. So big shout out to Zuku for participating in my video today. Very good job, but it was a very interesting deck. I remember you talking to me about it down the line, so I think that does have a decent place in the meta, to be honest, as a potentially dangerous rogue deck for the higher tier decks. Especially if you can get enough of the Galarian Cursor, or what is it, Corsola and Galarian Cursor, whichever way around it is, potentially enough of them in play to make your opponent have to risk the attacks and all the rest of it. Maybe a reset stamp or 2 would be better, and one more would be better in that deck. I digress. Anyway, so we're back to the back to the actual deck and what goes into it. So it's very low budget. These are all hollows. Like, well, this is a reverse hollow. These are hollows, but they're literally like you can buy them off any group for like £1 each. That's about £7 there. So 11, 12, 13, 14 for 2 of them. These don't cost a lot, so about £25 maximum to make this deck, which in any card game, £25 to make a deck is extremely cheap. The only thing that would cost anything in the trainer wise would be the boss orders. You can get Professor Research out of structure decks, so people sell these for like 50p, especially as people have gone and absolutely cracked out on buying the amount of Champions Path that they've done recently, and therefore there is an absolute surplus of Professor Research, especially hollows running around the market as well. So if you don't want the non-hollows from the structure deck, you can probably get the hollows now just as cheap because of how many are flying around. So that's all for this video. If you enjoyed watching, then leave a like down below. That'd be absolutely brilliant. If you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. It means the world to me. And again, hope you all do try this deck at some point, and we'll be back for the letter F soon. So for now, stay well, stay happy, stay safe, and peace out.